Hello everyone, I'm Pilot Stud and oh boy have I got a treat for you today. What if I told you there's a highly detailed vintage supersonic jet out there for you to fly on Microsoft Flight Sim for free? Yes, that's right, today we're looking at the freeware Hawker Hunter for Microsoft Flight Sim on PC. What an aircraft, let's get right into it. Okay, so to start off, let's have a little bit of background with the Hawker Hunter, with a bit of a nice cinematic in the background. So this is, of course, a supersonic jet, one of the first second generation fighters. First flew in 1951 and is still in use today, with some private operators, because of course 2,000 of them were built. It's powered by a Rolls-Royce Addon turbojet, and has got a distinctive swept wing design. It's technically classed as transonic, not supersonic, although it can reach supersonic speeds. A great little aircraft, a perfect jet for Microsoft Flight Sim. It can get really low to the ground at really quick speeds and is great fun, so let's talk about it. So first off, you can download this from flightsim.to if you want to. There's a link in the description so you can go directly from this video to this aircraft. And with the package you're downloading 10 variants, together of which have the option for 22 liveries, so 22 liveries altogether. Now what distinguishes these 10 variants is mostly fuel tank design, and there's small cosmetic differences as well. Let me just say, I really like it. I think it's great fun. I've been flying around with the Hawker Hunter all day, and it really is the perfect military jet for Microsoft Flight Sim, of which you can't really use it for military purposes, such as going around shooting people, but you can just use it to appreciate the sim. And because this is a slightly older aircraft, you're not going too fast. In the scheme of things, you really can appreciate the simulator. Now we're going to start off talking about the external model. It's great, it looks really nice. Some parts could do with a bit of a touch up here and there in terms of texture quality, but for a freeware aircraft you really can't complain. On the ground you can pull out ladders, you can put engine covers on, remove the full flight tags, chocks and all that. So if you want to make it look realistic on the ground you certainly can, and of course you can open the canopy, which is always good fun. Landing the aircraft, we'll talk about flight model later, but landing the aircraft, you can pop out a little parachute to slow you down, which is pretty cool as well. I think the external model is something that sticks out really well here. It interacts with Microsoft Flight Sim's lighting model in such a perfect manner. It looks really beautiful. I really like the green RAF liveries and they suit this plane really well compared to the grey one, which is used more by the Fleet Air Arm in the Navy. But you can be a bit more experimental, and if you want to, you can fly a bright red Hawker Hunter, of course in its sort of aerobatic form. External model gets a 9 out of 10 for me. It's really good, no obvious glitches, it just looks nice. Now let's take a look into the cockpit. The cockpit isn't perfect, but it's certainly close to payware level. Now according to the manual, there's 64 interactive points, whether that be an instrument or buttons you can press. So while the cockpit isn't fully functional, you will find most buttons you can press, most switches you can flip. Some parts in my opinion do look a bit grainy, but I've got to be honest, when you're flying fast you don't really notice it, and I wouldn't say it ruins the product. It's just something that can be worked on in the future, I guess. But and aside from that, it is really beautiful. You know, it really does suit the aircraft. Nothing's been ported in from other Microsoft Flight Sim aircraft, so nothing looks out of place. It feels old, but it feels loved. It's a really loved aircraft. It's a lovely aircraft overall, and of course I think it was the right decision not to make it feel all clean inside, because of course these aircraft, some of them are over 70 years old, so to make it look like brand new off the production line would be completely unrealistic. Interior model, fantastic, probably gets a 7 or 8 out of 10 here. Some work needs to be done, but aside from that it is really good. Now let's talk about systems. System depth is fairly good. The later models work with TACAN, which is sort of military navigation. To be exact, it's a tactical air navigation system, so it's basically military navigation. You'll find some TACANs lying around at air bases. I know there's one here at Lakenheath in the UK, not too far from where I am. To put it simply, it's the military version of VOR, and later versions of this aircraft do work with them, so you can do navigation that way. Now the aircraft is pretty fun to start up. There is a checklist included with the free manual included. and it does take a bit of time. If you don't want to start it up, just put it on the runway and wait for it to start up there. The only thing I would say, the one drawback here, is that if you do decide to start on final approach or whatever, you might find yourself you're finding sound doesn't sound too good because the engines haven't started up. So you might have to wait a few seconds or even up to a minute to get your engines restarted mid-air, which adds to the excitement, I guess, but it is a bit annoying if you want to just come in and test your landings without messing around with taking off and all that jazz. Now, I touched on it there, but sound is marvellous. You know, he's really got the engine perfect. A sort of high hum, it is really good. It sounds fantastic. You can really see the custom sound set in play here. It does sound really good. I should have talked about it in external effects, but particle effects are really well done as well. If you like to fly low to the ground, you'll get some sort of dust whip up, as you can see here in Cornwall, where you almost go into a complete vertical climb. It is really fun. You can get really fast for this aircraft as well. You can reach the speed of sound, so you can go above Mach 1, but you can't get much faster than that. The aircraft, if you've got realistic flight models on, just won't allow it. It will start violently shaking, which I guess adds to the fun. And of course, eventually, if you've got crashes enabled, your aircraft will just crash, basically. To talk about flight dynamic, it's a really smooth aircraft to fly in most circumstances, but as soon as you hit a crosswind, my goodness, it's great fun. Now, I've had experience with this firsthand. My first landing was almost a very, very strong 25 knot crosswind landing, which in a little plane like this is not too fun. I mean, it was great fun in the scheme of things, but in real life, I imagine it's quite difficult. This aircraft doesn't interact too well with the wind, but takeoff and landing in normal conditions, really good. Aircraft's really smooth. One thing I would say though is that flaps are really effective on this aircraft. They slow you down very, very quickly, so keep an eye out for those. To put it simply, it is a brilliant aircraft. I highly recommend it. You're getting such a variety with the 10 variants and 22 liveries. You're getting a really nice flight model, a great sound system, a pretty good external and internal model. I highly recommend it, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. It looks fantastic. You know, Microsoft Flight Sim isn't a military sim, but if it was, this would certainly be a must-have aircraft for everyone. I do recommend it, and I hope you enjoy it. From me today, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you around. Goodbye. Here comes the king. Stand aside. His guitar